Implicit bias rolls on, and trust me, you do not hate the legacy media enough. Or maybe you do. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome into the Mr. Lester's TSPL as implicit bias rolls on here in January of 2025. Let me introduce you to the crew we've got here. Say hi, Walker, because we can't see you.
Hello.
You're supposed to say hi, Walker. Oh, God, he just does.
Hi, Walker.
Yeah, there we go.
He's not awake. He's less here than I am.
Which isn't saying much. That's the voice of Caleb Morse, the Rustic Renegade. And, of course, at the bar, we've got Hold Harmless Harmon from Dupree Carrier Godshaw and short, poor, burly Pelleram making a repeat appearance here in the TSPL. Great to have y'all back in. And I sent the article out, and this is one that I actually do not agree with. I sent the article out that says, you do not hate the legacy media enough. Now, the question is, why? Well, this article, and it's just one of those pictures that you get off of social media, and all it shows are all of the different headlines from Vegas that say Cybertruck has explosion, Cybertruck explosion. It's basically all the headlines that lead you to believe that it might have been a Cybertruck fire in front of the Trump Hotel, that leads you to believe it might have been an accident, when within seconds, everyone had video of this truck blowing up on the internet, and it clearly was not an electric automobile fire. Clearly was not. So I'm curious, first of all, here in the TSPL, what are your thoughts on those headlines before I tell you why I actually like them?
Predictable.
What do you mean predictable, Brian? And you can move the microphone. You don't have to lean over you've got scoliosis.
You could just sit in his lap. How long have we been talking about the same subject? That's what I mean by predictable. I saw, was it the Washington Post? A truck drove down, hit bystanders on Bourbon Street. That was the headline on the Washington. I hope it's either Washington Times or the Washington Post.
It's probably the Post.
Yeah, forgive me. Bezos's paper.
That's the Post.
Okay, all right. It's just more of the same. We see it time and time again. It's not the first time that headlines have been misleading. It's not the first time that the whole country has become awoke, or we've awoken to the problem of our media. So just how you started it, you can't hate the media enough. And when you asked why, I almost turned to the microphone and said, "How much time do you have?"
They have conditioned us a certain way, no doubt. Pellerin?
Well, the fact that we didn't hear about it being a Ford F-150 in New Orleans as a part of the headline.
Right.
But yet we heard that as the first word in
Cybertruck.
In the Tesla. Actually, Tesla Cybertruck explodes in front of Trump Hotel, right? That's the problem. Because they're looking for those things to tie it to the things that they have been against for years now. And so anything to do with Tesla, SpaceX.
Yeah, because they are mad at Elon now for buying Twitter and letting people actually speak.
And then, of course, Trump. So it ties negativity to an event that should have been news, given the recent news in New Orleans. So when they do that, that's what gives the bad taste in the mouth about the legacy media.
Okay, I can see that. Caleb?
It should have been vehicle explodes in front of hotel.
Yeah, if they were going to be vague, they should have been vague,
right?
And not where they have the incidental specificity. I can't say the word.
Specificity.
Yeah, that word.
Specificity.
So Walker,
hooked on phonics, work for me.
Record
specificity.
Record when he says spec. Specificity. Record when he says that, and when I want to say it, I'll just point at you. So they were being specific when they didn't need to be. They were trying to be vague and everything else. Which
agreed.
Look, I get why they didn't have all the facts maybe right away. Or maybe they were like, look, we don't want to make people think these might be connected, Vegas and New Orleans. My preferred headline would have been vehicle explosion in
Las Vegas, can it be connected? Is this how 2025 starts? Something like that. Because there are very few coincidences, right? I think that there's got to be something connecting these two besides where they served, that kind of stuff. And I think they were specific when they didn't need to be. And what in New Orleans, wasn't it a Ford Lightning?
It was.
It was, yeah. So
It was a Ford Lightning.
Well, it is a 150.
It's an F-150 Lightning,
Yeah.
but specifically an electric vehicle.
I wouldn't even call it
Yeah.
F-150. I think it
I
can't
hadn't even
tow
heard
what it
that.
can tow.
Okay, so
But I think this goes to show that, look, no matter how many fireworks you ram into a Tesla Cybertruck, they're still not cool.
here's why I liked the headlines. Change does not happen like a light switch. And I truly believe that some of the vagueness of the headlines that we have seen over those two incidents specifically, which, by the way, we're staying away from a lot of the details on those. And we talked about just don't in the monologue, don't hurt other people. We stayed away from it because of when we're recording this episode versus when it will air. And we know that there's going to be a lot of things that come out between the recording of this episode and the day that it airs and goes public. So we're holding off on some of that, which is what I hope the legacy media is doing. We don't have all the info, so we have to be vague about some things. Now, to your point, Burley, old habits die hard, which means, oh, wait, we can tie this to Elon. We can tie this to, yes, we can tie this to Tesla. We can put the word Cybertruck on it and maybe make this look like people can connect the dots. If we're looking at connecting the dots, Caleb, I'm with you. To me, the headline should read something to the effect of vehicle explosion, mass casualty event in 2 different cities on same day. That's all you got to do. You do that and people are going to read.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and like when it first happened, when I saw it and or read the headlines, I was like, oh, I wonder if it got water in the battery. Like, that's what I thought, because that's what the media have you believe, is that these Teslas are just exploding left and right. And then I looked into it. I'm like, well, they're not really exploding that often. So, I mean, there's a spin. It's not huge, but it's there.
What I do love.
I love you too.
I didn't say I loved you. Don't flatter yourself. I can do better than you. What I did love about this situation was this. It has been said, we've said it here on this show, where is media going? Media is going to citizen journalism. And within moments of the events that we've had at the beginning of 2025, we had plenty of citizens being journalists. We had plenty of citizens putting information and video and actual eyewitness out there. That's a big deal. That's why, Burley, these old habits are so hard to die, because they know that they're going to retain some listenership, some viewership, some readership if they continue to trash people, because they're going to keep those people who are brainwashed and won't ask questions. Right. That's their influence over the few people who still believe them with those headlines.
Well, there are a lot of people that are out there that still want to put their head in the dirt, right, in the sand, and they want to be told what to do, told how to think, because ignorance is bliss. And once you know the truth, you can't go back to being ignorant.
Once you see the Matrix, there is no going back. And I mean that metaphorically, because the reality is, once you see how media operates and you understand it, you can't unsee that. You can't go back and be blissfully ignorant. Now, every single time something happens, it stares you in the face. You can almost, to go back to what Brian said, when something happens, you can almost predict what the headlines are going to be. Why? Because, well, old habits die hard.
Because they want to tell you a story and not the story.
Please don't believe us on this. Please go look up what headlines ran immediately after what happened in New Orleans, immediately after what happened with the truck in Vegas. Just go look it up.
The interesting thing, though, in today's world, again, and we've said this many times, is that everyone's got a camera, which also has a microphone, right? 20 some odd years ago, when there was a fire or an explosion or a car crash, you would have to wait for TV 10, the van to show up with the guy and the reporter.
Correct.
We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that anymore. And there are platforms now that thankfully have changed for the better. Let's agree to that. Have changed for the better so that whether it's right, it's hard to dispute eyewitness account in real time.
Well, to your point, Burley, it used to be when there was an accident, you had to wait for whatever TV station to get there to show you the aftermath.
Yeah. Now
Today, you're seeing the accident.
Exactly.
And the benefit to that is we get more information fast. The downfall to that is people would rather record than intervene. I mean, look at the woman that was set on fire in the subway.
I get
An
that.
individual stood there and was like, "Let me get this on. I'm gonna put it on my ex," right? Instead of saying, "Holy crap, let me go put this fire out."
Yeah.
And not just that one individual with the camera, the other 4 or 5 dozen people that were in the vicinity, no one did anything.
It's funny though, because I have seen some reports where they're showing this eyewitness video, this amateur video, and the legacy media is still saying, we can't verify this. We're still going to tell you what we want to tell you, but we're going to show you this because it's eye-catching. And they're still playing the game where they're going to tell you something different than what you're seeing sometimes. That's what blows my mind.
But there's another reason why they show the video. And do you know what it is? Plausible deniability.
It's not
that
theirs.
way. Well, not just that. That way they can say, well, we showed the video. Even though they might have told you a different story, they can say we showed the video. Essentially, the video becomes Sonny Holstein on The View.
Listen to what I'm saying, but don't pay attention to what I'm showing you unless you want
Correct.
to do the opposite.
Well, whatever her name is, Sonny Holstein Cows, I don't know, whatever. Whatever her name is on The View, the one who has been doing all of the legal disclaimers, that's what the video is. The video's a legal disclaimer, essentially. Because when someone goes to try and file suit, they can say, well, see, we showed the video. Which, once you put that in court, a court's going to look at it and say, well, you let the viewer make up their mind even though you wrote one thing and said something else or showed something else.
Yeah, you spun it, but, you told us.
Correct.
You showed us.
But you showed it to us, which means that, well, it's okay. You know what's not okay? What's not okay is watching Walker try to lean over and show me the finger from the corner. And I don't mean that finger. I mean the 1 minute finger, like we have to go to break. I want to watch him fall off the chair one day. We're going to have to rig the chair so the next time he leans.
You push the wheel.
I'll take a wheel out.
Yeah.
I'll take a wheel out from under his thing. When he gets right over kilter, it'll.
Yeah.
We're going to take a wheel out. We're going to come back, bring you the final segment of hour 1 of this week's episode of Implicit Bias. If you missed any of it so far, just go find us on our socials, X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Trust me, it's always more fun when you're catching the full Implicit Bias.